Hey, welcome to Rebel Heart Tarot Talk Live. This is your tarot cards for the month using Rebel Heart Tarot Guidebook. And this is for July, not using the guide, but using the cards. I might refer to the guidebook. July 2023, okay?
Yeah.
So if you're watching this, hopefully it's around July 2023. You can see how these cards sit and kind of work with your life experiences at this moment. Let us know in the comments. I'm the author. Nikki, wherever direction she is being recorded, is the artist.
Right.
So let's take a card for
Okay, okay.
the month, the whole month. So this should be relevant, give some reflection to everybody.
Queen of Wands, our cover girl.
My beloved
I know,
Queen of Wands. She was the first card we started with, wasn't she, when we
I
created
know, and
it?
I really, yeah, I've got such a soft spot for her.
She feels like a little piece of our souls, I think.
Yeah,
Um, she's a beauty. If you are, kind of wondering what the Queen of Wands is about, she's all about creative leadership, particularly as that comes through a more feminine approach. I guess traditionally feminine, but not that traditionally feminine. It's more almost something that predates tradition. I think tradition is the last couple of 100 years, and it's all got rather confused.
mm.
But this is something that is innate within all people, male or female, or wherever you sit in between that on that spectrum. But the Queen of Wands is this empirical, magical creative leader. So she's the singer, she's the dancer, she's the person who approaches her cakes with aplomb and her garden with so much energy. She writes books, she is artistic, she's has really interesting relationships with her friends, and she creates from within every single aspect of her life. And she's rebellious. I mean, this is the Rebel Heart Tarot deck. She rebels against what creativity is sold to us as, like by school or by parents, and she creates in a way that is evocative of her own soul, which is hard work because you have to go against the grain. But
Yeah,
this,
but do you know what? It's the place where most creatives like to sit.
yeah,
Most creatives don't like to sit in the square that they're told to sit in. They kind of go, no, I want to either straddle across all these squares or I want to jump around from square to square. Most creatives aren't really very happy to sit in that place that they're told to sit.
yeah. So I would say is for anybody watching this is where are you creative or where could you be creative and how is this month provoking your creativity?
And
She's
own it.
Yeah, own it, get on the throne, recognize it doesn't need to look like anybody else's. You don't need permission for it. You don't need to, write a letter to your old sixth form tutor for kind of
Yeah,
guidance or like,
can I
please
draw
may
that
I?
picture?
Please may I, miss?
Yeah.
Yes, you may. Um, yeah, and actually, a lot of people I know will be looking at this going, but I'm not a writer and I'm not a artist and I'm not an actress. Well, you know what? You show up to life every single day and every single interaction you have or every
Yeah.
meal you make all have the opportunity to change your life in a more creative bent, I would say.
Yeah. We're all, at the end of the day, we're creative beings. I think it's part of human nature, isn't it? Is to be creative and to look for solutions that might not just be A to B to C. And I think that's part of what makes us who we are, makes us human, is that we're always looking for a way to push ourselves forward. And we do it creatively because a lot of the time you don't have answers. You have to find the answers yourself.
Yeah, and we do tend to we're kind of sold a version of life where we have to look for answers outside of ourselves, externally, with professionals and experts and people who've lived through it. But what about
What
your
you
own
feel inside, yeah,
experiences? Yeah, and how
yeah.
you feel, the intuitive, spiritual. She's quite a spiritual card as well, because she has trust in that inner inner understanding,
In
the
a
inner
world,
story.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm loving that card for March. Feels like
Well,
March, doesn't it?
that's because we've just been saying July. It can't possibly be July. We're still
Oh my
only at the
God.
beginning of the year. And
Anyway,
yet
for
we've all got
July,
clouds because we've got sunshine. But yeah, it is odd to think that we're heading into the summer holidays with the kids and things. I
but
just,
well, on that note, that card makes a lot of sense because if
yeah,
you happen to be watching this and you have children involved in the mix and it's the summer holidays, then yeah, your Queen of Wands could very much be pulled upon to to work with those children.
It's where you're being a red coat and you've got to be events manager, canteen manager, entertainment manager, referee, you know, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but within all of that mass melee of craziness, finding time for yourself.
Yes.
You know, and inserting those 20 minutes of
Yeah.
no, today whilst you're doing
Doing
this,
this.
I'm gonna do this for myself, and
Yeah.
whatever that happens to be, making sure that you don't fully give over, because the Queen of Wands will always prioritize her own creativity first. It's like that thing on the airplane, you know, putting your mask on first, and which is an inspiration to whoever happens to be around you, whether that is children or partners or friends, colleagues. Just prioritizing your creativity as a tool of well-being, sanity.
Yeah, I like that card.
I love that card for July. That feels good. So
yeah, it does.
How's about now? We're going to go for the full moon.
Yeah,
3rd of July.
That card as well, coming off the back of June, with, because we were saying this, weren't we, again today, where we had at the beginning of June, we had 3 really dynamic, hopeful, possible cards, and then we ended up with a really dramatic one for the last week, which has kind of left us all feeling quite heavy, hasn't it? You know, we're kind of living it at the moment, kind of going, oh, where's this come from? We were feeling great. And so yeah, it's nice to have something so positive come out for the beginning of July. You just kind of go, okay, it's going to lift.
It is, and it's going to lift in style with that Queen of Wands. So for 3rd of July, full moon.
Ace of Cups.
Oh,
I love this card.
It's such a sweet little card.
But again, it's about taking time, a little bit of time for yourself, and just kind of nurturing your own needs, perhaps, in amongst the chaos that could be going on. Take time to have a bit of a float and a dream, and tune into your own kind of needs and loves and passions, and follow that feeling, really, maybe.
Yeah, be in the sweetness, and if there is no sweetness, create it. Find ways to create it. See, I'm looking at that thinking, oh, I've got a few things I need to plan for that I haven't planned. Like, I'm having a baby in August.
Any minute,
really
yeah.
want to have some kind of baby welcoming party, and I keep in my head tagging it for July. But now I'm looking at these cards thinking, so that's my guidance.
Yeah.
To try and make that happen. But also just the sweetness, just, you know, where can you find sweetness in your life? When I say sweetness, nice emotional fulfillment, where do you find that already? Where does that exist for you? In your day-to-day? And if you can't think of anywhere, well,
how are you gonna make it?
Yeah, and creating.
Yeah.
Because
there's literally as simple as taking a bath a night, you know, and just taking 20 minutes to have a bath on your own with it, you know, leave your phone outside the door, maybe take a book in, or just lie there with your eyes shut for a few minutes without anybody asking you any questions, and literally start it as something as simple as that.
Yeah, sit outside with the sun
and
literally just feeling, okay, what does that feel like? Because I feel it every day, but do I actually feel it? It's getting into those emotional responses to the really simple things.
Smell the smells on the flowers, watch a bee buzzing around, listen to the birds, watch the parent birds at the moment where they're showing their baby birds how to go foraging, how to look for food. In fact, I saw a neighbour just before, and he was saying that he walked out the door this morning into his back garden, and he suddenly has a cat and a litter of kittens in his garden. He doesn't own a cat, but he now has a cat and a litter of kittens to contend with, and you just kind of, yeah, it's just a little moment of wonder.
Yeah, and when you put that together with the Queen of Wands, that is what the Queen of Wands exists on. Is that she doesn't exist on big highfalutin energies and big parties, or being kind of included in other people's scenarios. What she exists on is these little fragments of magic that visit every day, that sustain her and give her like pure inspiration. So those
my favorite things, those little incidental bits.
And too, I feel like these cards are talking to us, Nikki.
I know, yeah.
And some of the work we've been doing this year.
Well, yeah, and how many pictures do we send each other of like random random things like a strawberry that
Feathers.
we've grown, or
Yeah.
feathers that we've found, or a butterfly that we've come across. It's just little magic, isn't it?
Yeah. And a lot of it's found in nature,
Yes.
which means you don't have to pay for it and it's just there and it's present. And I always say, even in cities, you can find nature. You look up, you can see the clouds, you can see a
Well,
squirrel or a
even it,
pigeon
but it's
in a
also the
different light.
weeds. It's the weeds growing in the most
Through
unexpected
cracks of,
places.
yeah.
Yeah, and the plants that will grow with no, and you think, how are you growing that? We've got plants on the beach that come up amongst all the rocks that we've got there that are like a breakwater. You think there's no soil. It gets battered by the waves with salt water. Now, if you planted something in that experience in your garden, it wouldn't grow, but nature will, when it's allowed, will grow in the most incredible places.
Oh God, yeah, I took my kids out the other week because they've done some work on a lamppost just outside the house and it was all tarmacked over like within the last 12 months. And I took the kids out because there was this little gentle seedling that has made its way through and has cracked all the tarmac up and has come through and
Yeah,
is forming a plant. It's like, how have you done that? You're so soft and so gentle and you have
yeah.
no apparent strength, but you do have the strength to
Enough to
crack through
crack
solid
tarmac.
tarmac and start building a
Yeah,
new plan. I was super impressed. Not sure
magic.
we're fully on board with this, but they got the message.
I know the other kid. Look at that, children. Look at that, and they're like, "No, what's she showing us
Was
now?"
mum showing me the weeds again? Yeah. Anyway. So we also have a new moon
New
in
moon,
July,
which was what
so
was that, the 17th?
17th.
Okie dokie. Cards don't want to do their thing.
Oh dear. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of, well, beam me up, Scotty. Maybe the summer holidays are, well, they will have started by now. And maybe it's that thing of,
Yeah.
oh, I've just been carving out time for myself, and now suddenly it's swooped upon, and everybody's
Yeah.
asking for a piece of you.
Might be feeling slightly overwhelmed, exhausted. Everybody's kind of,
Existential.
let's call it, that phase of time in life where you have to compromise with other people, but also at the same time keep something for yourself. So she's like this little raccoon-headed lady laying on the floor, feeling slightly fed up and having had enough, and feeling like everybody else is consuming her, but she still has her one sword. So don't forget about your one sword, whatever that happens to be, your one
Got some
idea, your
fight.
one plan, your one thing for yourself. Um, don't let it be completely consumed by the voracious needs of friends, colleagues, partners, kids, pets. You
Yeah.
know, you still have opportunity to make life very much your own. Um,
And also, if you're thinking about it in the new moon, it's that possibility of new things, isn't it? And kind of moving forward. And so maybe it's about allowing the stuff that you don't want anymore to be beamed up, and then keep the thing close that you're nurturing and looking after, like that seedling, and kind of maybe nurture it with like that sword and
yeah, but
fight
like
off
pick
the
your
stuff.
battles as well.
Yeah,
Like why just don't, some things just don't bother resisting and just kind of
go with
learning
the
to go
flow.
with the flow, a new kind of flow. Um, but keep your one thing close.
Yeah.
Matters. So I think all in all, July looks like quite an interesting month. And the thing with the cards, they're only ever with us for the moment they're with us. And these cards are here for, the whole card for the month is the Queen of Wands. That does span the entire month. So we can creatively deal with things like the Five of Swords and the kind of, the moments of lower energy or frustration. Let's bring our Queen of Wands to that. Same with those sweetnesses of the
Sweet as the
Ace of
ace. Yeah.
Cups. Bring your Queen of Wands to that. Make it
But
bigger, make
also,
it creative.
that queen of that, the ace of cups, that new beginning of something. Maybe this is that thing where you're going to have to maybe fight, or keep close that new thing that you're going to have to maybe put a little bit of fight up for it.
Yeah, new things are really easy to let go of when the novelty wears off, which can happen really quickly. But perhaps, in the face of difficult life events, you might feel like, oh, I'm going to put that on the shelf for a minute. Well, just
Yeah,
don't put it on the shelf. Just keep parts of it alive with you.
yeah,
And that's what the Queen of Wands energy is there, is to hold it all together and to recognize that these things are really important. Whether they can be shelved or not, it's just don't shelve them because
yeah.
they bring relevance and health and well-being to your existence.
Like it.
Okay. So those are our July cards. We'll be back
Yes.
in August.
August. Well, yeah, that's if you, well, yeah, you may have a fun
Re-record it
doing so.
fairly soon, shall we, Nikki?
Yeah.
um, yeah. So we'll be back every month anyway. We might have to pre-record a few months because I am exploding with small child at the moment. But yeah, otherwise keep checking in every month.
Yes.
Let us know how these cards meet with you. And if they feel meaningful, we would love to hear about that. And otherwise, the cards we were using, I'll say again, Rebel Heart Tarot, available worldwide. At a
In
decent
all good
price.
bookshops.
Yes. And if you get a deck and you use them and share them on social media, give us a tag.
Yeah.
And we will share happily.
And also just give us a review on Amazon as well, because it kind of it matters, doesn't
It
it?
really
So it
matters.
does help. Yeah.
It's a huge big deal for us as creators. So
And also we
thank you in
love reading them.
advance. All right then,
All
Nikki and
right, love.
everyone. See you next month.
See you.